Shall I say it? Shall I? Shall I say it? All right, I'm going to say it. Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Now, if anyone thinks that makes me look like a twat or I'm making a twat out of myself, all I can say is I don't care. I'm not interested in what you think of me. I'm only interested in what I think of myself. What you think of me is none of my business. And what you think is something that you alone are qualified to comment on. I don't care if Slaxxxer thinks I'm making a twat out of myself. I don't care if my former colleagues at the hospital think I'm making a twat out of myself. As David Icke said, I am me, I am free. As far as I'm concerned, this is me. Take it or leave it. End of story. As you'll probably guess, that this is actually a reply to a video. Now, I don't do many of these reply to other people sort of things because it's not really my style, and also especially I think when what I'm replying to is a purely personal issue, I don't prioritise personal arguments with other people very highly compared to other issues going on at the moment in this world. However, other people prioritise those personal arguments much higher than I do, and sometimes they bring me into it, which means I really have to say something, especially if there are factual errors I need to correct. I don't care what people think of me, like I said, but I think Slaxxxer has made some factual errors in his assessment of me. Now, as you're aware by now, because most people who watch my channel also watch Slaxxxer's, I've fallen out with Slaxxxer. Yeah, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Funny thing about Slaxxxer is I've known him. His name's Dave. Right? I've known him for years on the internet, and we live less than 10 miles apart. Although we've never met ever. But basically, the reason I want to make this video is because in his video where he talks about me, he's actually misrepresenting me. He's misrepresenting the situation. You can believe me or you can believe him. I don't know. But I just want to say that I think he is doing so, and that needs to be corrected. What he says he's doing is that I am angry with him because he doesn't like me saying hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. No, I'm not angry with him for that. I don't care about that. It's a completely different issue altogether. And I should give you a bit of background actually. I mean, like I said, I do like Dave in a way. I still like him in a way, and he's got a lot of good qualities, and I'm going to miss him. He's actually been a guest on my radio show, the HPANWO show on Critical Mass Radio, and there'll be links in the description box to those interviews. I actually did 3 whole interviews with him, or an interview which took up 3 shows, and it was brilliant. Have a listen, see what you think. I think he did an excellent job, and the listeners loved it. The problem is that where this all started was that Dave was in the comments box. I was in the comments box of a friend of mine on the internet, a guy called Steve Trueblue, who I've got a lot of respect for. He's a good guy. And of course with Google Plus now, everyone can follow your comments and stuff like that. So Dave decided to post in the comments box too, along with me. And before long, he and Steve got into a, what should I call it? A battle, fisticuffs at dawn, should we say. And basically they were at each other's throats for a few posts, and then it cleared out. Now Dave got very upset with me. He felt I'd betrayed him because Dave felt that I should have backed him up in that dispute with Steve. He felt that he was attacked by Steve, and that I should have I should have defended him. Well, you see, I interpret it very differently when I read through those posts, and I think the comments are still there on the video. You can probably see them, but the way I see it, it was Steve and Dave, basically two pretty much evenly matched sides, having a go at each other. Now Dave's a big boy now. He doesn't need me to fight his battles for him when he has an evenly matched opponent. All right. Now it's certainly not a betrayal. But Dave said that I was a selective coward. He said that I've got a lot of moral courage when it comes to some things like the New World Order, but then I chickened out of a really, really important issue, which was backing him up in this spat he had with Steve Trueblue. When, in fact, okay, well, why is that, Dave? What's the... how consequential was this issue for the world at large? What it was, Dave, it was a fight between you and Steve. It was a 1-to-1, head-to-head ego tussle. That's all it was. Okay? It was a personal issue between you and Steve, nothing more, nothing less. And the consequences of your defeat were nothing more than a blow to your conceit. That's all it was. Why am I obliged to get involved with that? I think the difference between me and Dave is I don't prioritise these sort of things the way he does. We're living in a world where we could have UFO disclosure any minute now. As I've said, it's Friday today. We might have UFO disclosure this evening. I know there's this Charlie Hebdo thing going on, but we might have UFO disclosure this evening, or maybe next week. We got chemtrails flying over our heads. We've got genetically modified food sprouting out of the gaps between the bricks in our houses. And what, Dave, you want me to drop all that and dedicate a lot of energy into a personal ego tussle between you and Steve Trueblue? Forget it. You're on your own, mate, when it comes to things like that. Oh, I promise you, right, when the New World Order is finished, all right, when it's over, when we're living in the post-Illuminati world, I intend to write I'm going to dedicate 5 years of my life, I promise you this, to writing a multi-volumed epic about who I think is a shill and who's not a shill, who's a bad guy, who's a good guy, who did tit, who did tat. Darren Perks, Danielle LaVerite, Kevin Annett. I'm gonna do whole chapters on these people. I'll tell you exactly who I think is king of the castle and who, in my opinion, is uniformly the dirty rascal. I promise you, I will. All right, but until we stop the New World Order, I don't have time or energy for that stuff. Okay. The thing about Dave was also angry before this issue because, and he was quite right to be angry actually, because his wife, the YouTube user Meg Smith, who is his wife Meg, she does these pole dancing and twerking videos which are completely harmless, and they were very popular, and of course she got false DMCA like so many people who have a presence on YouTube do. And that is extremely frustrating. It's extremely upsetting. And Dave and Meg are quite right to be annoyed about that. Unfortunately, YouTube are still not doing enough to, they tend to react whenever you get DMCA. Generally YouTube tend to sustain that DMCA whether or not it's justified or not, and that is that's a fault of the system. And I know a lot of people who've lost a lot of material because of DMCA attacks. But this was the backdrop to why Dave was very irritable, and maybe it's understandable in that case. But I mean, I did a couple of things. For instance, I performed I committed a very minor infringement of Facebook protocol once on his wall. I posted a tag to a friend. Now, I shouldn't have done that. Perhaps it's a very very minor misdemeanor though, because because when you think about it. His wall was actually public. It was not friends only. His settings were for a public wall, and so there's no reason in that sense that I thought he would object to tags. Although, so it's a slight faux pas, but not really a bad one. Anyway, I apologised to him, but he completely overreacted. Rather than just contacting me privately and saying, Ben, do you mind not putting your friends' tags on this? It's just I really don't want these people to see this stuff. Okay, he could have done that, all right, and I'd have said fine. But instead, he completely overreacted. He started saying, Ben, this is another example of you not, abusing my privacy and not caring about my privacy and thinking and all this stuff like this. And things. Once I've seen that, I wished I hadn't apologised simply for that reason. And so this carried on. Then he posted his video Chemtrails, right? Which is pretty obvious why he posted that. It was about chemtrails, but it really should have been entitled I'm posting a video. This is a video about a subject Ben doesn't agree with because I want an argument with him. It'd been more honest of Dave if he just called the video that, because that's what he wanted. And so I started posting, I think, very polite and rational replies in the comments box why I disagreed with him over chemtrails. He immediately started accusing me of fudging the question, things like that. So at that point, I suddenly realised that this was a completely unsalvageable relationship. It was a completely no-win situation, and I'll be saying more about this in the future. Generally, I think we're living in a world in which, you know, rationality is taking second place to other forms of interaction or conflict between people, rather than a rational basis in terms of the rules of rationality. What we find is that the people who tend to win arguments nowadays, not just online but everywhere in society, tend to be the best sophists. They tend to be the people who are capable of the most aggressive bluster. And we've seen this in other situations before, like with, I mean, if you go to the HPANWO voice blog and the HPANWO radio blog, you'll see situations with people like Danielle Laverite, Darren Perks, Kevin Annett, which I've spoken about before. I find, and also on the HPANWO forum this has happened recently, it's all very synchronous, it's all coming together in one go. I find that more and more I'm in situations where I get into a dispute with someone, I'm in a conflict, and the way they reply to me is in a form that I cannot possibly deal with. Because maybe it's because I have this empathic disorder, which is a disorder these days. Maybe because it's just the way I am. I can't play the kind of games that some other people want to play. When I debate with someone, I put across an argument, I expect them to put a counter argument. But instead you get things like, with the Kevin Annett video, you should be ashamed of yourself, Ben. You're a dupe and you're a softie, you're a dupe and you're a mug. Or, you get insults, you get threats. I actually did get threatened at some point in the last week. I've been threatened online. So this is part of a more general subject which I want to go into maybe in the next few weeks. But we're in a situation where if you want an honest, rational discussion, it's really, really difficult. And the worst offenders of all are not Dave. Dave's not the worst offender. The worst offenders of all are skeptics. The people who say they believe in they're the ultimate arbiters of rationality. It is the skeptics themselves who are the biggest sophists, the most aggressive blusterers, and the most skilled individuals in this kind of like pseudo debate. This pseudo debate, which is actually an insult to the intellectual sovereignty, not only of individuals, but it's an insult against the intellect of mankind, of all of humanity's brains, and that we've evolved, these amazing brains we've evolved. It's an insult to all of that. So I wrote to Slaxxxer and I said, Dave, I'm asking, can we part company on a mutually agreed to part company as two honourable men? Not because I knew what would happen. I says, this is inevitably going to end up with us sliding down into a fight where we expend an enormous amount of time, an enormous amount of emotional energy on a completely irreconcilable conflict, which will result in us parting, blocking each other, hating each other. Because I could see that was coming. Dave seemed to be absolutely desperate. He was spoiling for this. He really badly wanted it. And I'm not going to give it to him. I know, Dave, you have this hump of hate which you have to placate at all costs. But you're not the only one. I have an ego. I have feelings that can be hurt. Okay? But I really make an effort not to take out everything on other people. I wish you'd do the same. And so I wrote asking if we could part company. He agreed. He just unfriended me, and that was it. I'd like to say that, as I said, I'm going to miss Dave. I wish him all the best, and Meg, and their little daughter. I wish them all the best. Maybe in a couple of years' time, when things are different, we can be friends again. I hope that anyway. In the meantime, I'm going to carry on watching his videos. I'm still subscribed to his channel. I'll carry on watching his videos. I won't comment on them, but I'm still going to watch them. And as I said, if you go to the link in the description box, you'll see the interview I did with him on HPANWO radio. I hope you enjoy that. Well, thanks for watching. This is actually, this is an interlude video. I'm not going to post this video on the HPANWO radio blog. It's something I don't really want at the top of my list for too long because, like I said, I don't enjoy personal, little gaming, as David Icke calls it. I don't like that. I think there are more important issues in this world. I'm currently in production of a video which is about a more important issue, which I hope to upload very soon after this one hits YouTube. So, so that, like I said, it's just an interlude video, just to let you know what's going on. So, it's because I need to. I think Dave's put me in a position where I need to reply because I need to correct the factual errors he's made in the video. I'm not doing this because I want to get into an argument with him. Dave is going to reply to this, what I've said here. He's either going to make another video, counter debunking of my video, or he's going to post some things in the comments box. Dave is not blocked from doing that. He's entitled to post comments in the comments box of this video, but I will not be replying to those comments because I know we're going to get into an infinite cycle of he said, she said, you know, etc. That can go on forever. Until people back. I've seen thousands of posts, comments, thousands of posts on things like this. People spend hours typing away at that person there. Oh, isn't he horrible? Oh, don't talk to me about chemtrails right now. I'm busy on this. No, I'm not coming to bed. I can't come to bed right now because I've got to deal with this. I've got to deal with this person who's offended my ego. You see what I mean? And I don't want to get into that kind of situation. I don't even want to be tempted into falling into that kind of situation. So, that's it. Let's just hope. I'm going to make this the end of it from my side anyway. Thank you for watching. I'm going to say it again. I'm always going to say it. I don't care what you think, Dave. Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order.